Hi friends! Today I will show you how to draw a strawberry in Adobe Fresco. Some time ago I posted a time-lapse drawing process of this strawberry illustration, and today you can follow me to do the same. Let's create a new layer and drag it above other layers. You can hide the layers sidebar by pressing the top menu option on the right. To start, I select a basic round brush. The brushes menu in Adobe Fresco is split. You have the regular brushes with a lot of great default options. The second menu option on the left opens live brushes with watercolor and oil brushes. Today we will be using Fresco default watercolor brushes. There are 6 options. They are more than enough for creating realistic watercolor effects. And the third menu option opens vector brushes. This is one of the key differences between PROCREATE and Fresco. In Fresco, you can create vector images that are endlessly scalable without loss of quality. I find that using watercolor brushes to color an existing shape works best for what we will be doing today. At first, I'm going to create the shape. I'm going to the basic brushes and choose the hard round brush. This color will do. You can adjust the size of the brush here. The option below allows you to draw smoother lines. With zero smoothing, the brush is sensitive and it's hard to draw an even line. With a higher smoothing, the lines look much more even. This tool is similar to the PROCREATE stabilization brush setting. Just like this. And I'm going to draw a strawberry shape. I'm selecting the transform tool and moving it to the center. Maybe a little lower, because we'll have leaves on top of it. To fill it with color, I select the bucket tool. And there is one trick I wanted to show you. If you fill it with the default setting and get closer, you will see a line that was left out. I used to fix it manually with a brush, but instead, you can select the bucket tool and open this option. It's called color margin. Set it close to the max, and when you use the bucket again, the shape is filled. We have the shape. I want to change the background color to a very pale pink. The color palette I'm using can be downloaded for free. I'll leave the link in the description box. This shape is our guideline. Similar to PROCREATE, press on the layer and select Lock Transparency. When you lock transparency, all details and colors will stay within the shape borders. And this is the fun part. I enjoy it very much. I select Color Wash Brush from the Live Brushes, Watercolor menu. And I start with bright pink. I start in the center. You can be very uneven with the color application because it will blend and create that blotchy watercolor effect that we want. I love how it spreads. Then I select burgundy and add it to the darker side of the strawberry. In my mind, the light is falling from the top left. Okay. Maybe I'll add it here and here because it will have a shadow from the leaves. Then I select a bright red shade and add it to the center. And then I'm taking light mint green and adding it to the bottom of the berry because This is where strawberries have a slightly different color. And I'm taking light blue and adding it to the right side, where a light reflex would be, and in a couple of random spots. I'm switching to a lighter pink to fill the rest of the shape. Our base layer is ready. I'm creating a new layer for the seeds. I will be using the same brush and a saturated yellow color. I'm using the new layer. This way, the colors will not blend with the bottom layer. Let me show you. Now I can add details and they will not be spreading too much. But if I do the same in the previous layer, the yellow will blend in and it will look blurred and too pale. That's not what we want. Let's go back to the top layer, the new layer that we added. I'll make the brush a bit smaller. This should do. When I draw a strawberry, I follow its shape to direct the seeds downwards. They usually point down to the bottom of the berry, and I'm just adding them like this, trying to direct them to the bottom. I'm adding them line by line and then in a few empty spots. And then I draw a few at the top. I use the eraser to fix the shape of this seed. And it's done. Let's add one more layer for the leaves. I'll draw an irregular shape to fill it with green. I select the lasso tool and draw an outline that reminds me of the strawberry leaves. It doesn't have to be perfect. Then I select the bucket tool and a light green color from the palette and fill the outline. I can choose vector or pixel. I select pixel for this illustration. I deselect it, click the transform tool, and move it around to find the best place. I make it a little smaller. There you go. Let's color it. I click on the layer and choose Lock Transparency. Then I'm going to the watercolor brushes and select the same watercolor wash flat brush. I fill the shape in circles starting with a dark green. Let's make it a bit larger. I'm messily adding colors because that's what looks very natural for watercolor. It's a medium that's hard to control on paper, and that's the reason we love it. I'm adding burgundy and other shades of green. Looks good. Now I press and hold the top layer and move it under the strawberry like this. I want to adjust its position, and I take the transform tool and move it down. Maybe I can turn it a bit. Then I duplicate the layer. I go to the second menu option in the top right and change the blending mode to multiply. I'm dragging it to the left to reduce transparency. OK. To merge the layers, I press the pointer. You can move it around the screen. While holding the dot, I select the layers I want to merge. I go to 3 dots and press Merge Selected. Now it's one layer. I want to turn it on again. Now let's go to the top layer and add a new layer. Select a very light pink. I'm going to use the Watercolor Round Detail brush for the highlight. This is the area of the highlight, about 5 or 6 seeds that are grouped on this side. I'm drawing oval shapes. I connect the oval shapes and fill this area with light pink. Then I add C-shapes to the surrounding seeds. They get smaller as they move away from the lightest area. I go to the second menu on the right and change the blend mode to overlay. I like this effect because the background pink is visible through part of the highlight. For the final touch, let's add the shadow. I add a new layer and place it under the strawberry. I'm selecting the basic watercolor brush from the live brushes in the left menu, and I start with a lilac shade. I angle the canvas to make it easier for my hand movement. I use a few fast moves to sketch in the shadow, just like this. I take a hard round eraser and make the shape more pointed. And I like to blur the end of the shadow with the eraser. Let's set transparency lock to the layer with the shadow. I add dark blue right under the strawberry. And light blue and mint green in the middle of the shadow. Okay. This shadow looks a little too saturated and too narrow. I take the transform tool and make it wider. That's fine. Now I'm going to the appearances menu. It's in the right bar and looks like 3 overlapping circles. I click on hue and saturation, and it adds the adjustment layer. It appeared here and I want it to be applied only to the shadow layer. To do it, I press a button with a down arrow. Now all hue and saturation adjustments will be applied only to the shadow layer and not to the entire image. I drag the saturation down and I want to make it a bit darker. Looks good. And here you have a beautiful watercolor effect strawberry in Adobe Fresco. Thank you for your time. Have a great day.